Welcome to i-TUTOR IAS Academy Biology NCERT series. Today we will be discussing Chapter 16 Environmental Issues. Human population has grown enormously over the last 100 years. This means increase in demand for food, water, home, electricity, roads, automobiles and numerous other commodities. These demands are exerting tremendous pressure on our natural resources and are also contributing to pollution of air, water and soil. The need of the hour is to check the degradation and depletion of our precious natural resources and pollution without halting the process of development. Pollution is any undesirable change in physical, chemical or biological characteristic of air, land, water or soil. Agents that bring about undesirable change are called pollutants. So this is an important definition. Just keep a note of it. What are pollutants? These are agents which bring about undesirable changes. In order to control the environmental pollution, the Government of India has passed Environmental Protection Act 1986 to protect and improve the quality of our environment, which include air, water and soil. So this is an important act. Keep a note of it. It is important for mains as well as your prelims stage. Now let's discuss more details about air pollution and its control. We are dependent on air for our respiratory needs. Air pollutants cause injury to all living organisms. They reduce growth and yield of crops and cause premature death. Air pollutants also affect the respiratory system of humans and animals. Harmful effects depend on the concentration of pollutants, duration of exposure and the organism. Smokestacks of thermal power plants, smelters and other industries release particulate and gaseous air pollutants together with harmless gases such as nitrogen, oxygen, etc. These pollutants must be separated or filtered out before releasing the harmful gases into the atmosphere. Moving on, there are several ways of removing particulate matter. The most widely used of which are electrostatic precipitator, which can remove over 99% of particulate matter present in the exhaust from the thermal power plant. So there are different ways of removing these particulate matter which is harmful. The most efficient and commonly used way is electrostatic precipitator. It removes the 99% of the particulate matter from the exhaust from the power plant. It has electrode wires that are maintained at several thousand volts, which produces corona that releases electrons. These electrons attach to the dust particles, giving a negative charge, net negative charge. The collecting plates are grounded and attract the charged dust particle. The velocity of air between the plates must be low enough in order to allow the dust to fall and get collected into these collecting plates. So this is a diagram. This is an important diagram. This is an electrostatic precipitator. So as the dirty air passes through these electrostatic precipitator, initially these wires are maintained. These electrode wires are maintained at very high voltage, which releases electron. These electrons get attached to these dust particles, which while moving forward there are collection plates which are positive in charge. So these dust particles which are negative in charge because of the electrons that are attached to it will get deposited on these collection plate which are positive in charge. So this is how a electrostatic precipitator works. Moving on, the next method is using a scrubber. A scrubber can remove gases like sulfur dioxide. In a scrubber, the exhaust is passed through a spray of water or lime. Recently, we have realized that the dangers of particulate matter are very, very small and that are not removed by these precipitators. According to Central Pollution Control Board, particulate size of 2.5 micrometers or less in diameter, that is PM 2.5, are responsible for causing the greatest harm to human health. These fine particulates can be inhaled deep into the lungs and can cause breathing and respiratory symptoms, irritation, inflammation and damage to the lungs and premature deaths. So first method is electrostatic precipitator. Another one is using a scrubber, in which we pass the dirty air through a scrubber, and this method is mainly used for removing sulfur dioxide. So as the exhaust is passed through the scrubber, a spray of water or lime is sprayed from the top, and clean air only passes through the opening. Moving on, automobiles are a major cause for atmospheric pollution, at least in the metro cities. As the number of vehicles increase on the street, this problem is now shifting to the other cities too. Proper maintenance of automobiles along with the use of lead-free petrol or diesel can reduce the pollutants they emit. Catalytic converters having expensive metals like platinum, palladium and rhodium act as catalysts and are fitted into the automobiles for reducing the emission of poisonous gases. As the exhaust passes through the catalytic converter, unburnt hydrocarbons are converted into carbon dioxide and water, and carbon monoxide and nitric oxide are changed into carbon dioxide and nitrogen gas respectively. The motor vehicles equipped with catalytic converter should use unleaded petrol, because lead in the petrol inactivates the catalyst. So for removing the pollutants from the exhaust that is coming from vehicles, we use catalytic converters. These catalytic converters have expensive metals like palladium, platinum, palladium and rhodium, which act as catalyst, which is fitted into the automobiles, and these catalysts will help in removing the harmful gases. It will remove the unburned hydrocarbons and it will convert it into carbon dioxide and water, and carbon monoxide and nitric oxide will be converted into carbon dioxide and nitrogen gas respectively. This is very important, carbon dioxide and nitrogen gas will be converted into carbon dioxide, and carbon monoxide and nitric oxide will be converted into carbon dioxide and nitrogen gas respectively, and unburned hydrocarbons will be converted into carbon dioxide and water. Moving on, controlling vehicular air pollution, a case study from Delhi. Now we will see a case study from Delhi. With its very large population of vehicular traffic, Delhi leads the country in the levels of air pollution. It has more cars than the states of Gujarat and West Bengal put together. In 1990s, Delhi ranked 4th among the 41 most polluted cities in the world. 41 most polluted cities in the world. Air pollution problems in Delhi became so serious that a public interest litigation was filed in the Supreme Court of India. After being censured very strongly by the Supreme Court, under its directives, the government was asked to take within a specific time period appropriate measures, including switching over the entire fleet of public transport, that is buses, from diesel to CNG, compressed natural gas. All buses of Delhi were converted to run on CNG by the end of 2002. But why is CNG a better option than diesel? The answer is CNG burns more efficiently, unlike petrol or diesel in automobiles, and very little of it is left behind. CNG is cheaper than petrol or diesel. CNG cannot be siphoned off by thieves and adulterated like in case of petrol or diesel. The main problem with switching over to CNG is difficulty of laying down the pipeline to deliver CNG through distribution points or pumps and ensuring uninterrupted supply. So these are the positive points, advantages of using CNG, and there are some challenges to it, which include laying down the pipeline to deliver the CNG through distribution point and to ensure uninterrupted supply. Moving on, simultaneously, parallel steps taken in Delhi for reducing vehicular pollution include phasing out of old vehicles, use of unleaded petrol, use of low sulfur petrol and diesel, use of catalytic converters in vehicles, and application of stringent pollution level norms for vehicles. So simultaneously, other steps were also taken to reduce the air pollution in Delhi. The government of India, through new auto fuel policy, has laid out a roadmap to cut down the vehicular pollution in Indian cities. More stringent norms for fuels mean strictly reducing the sulfur and aromatic content in petrol and diesel fuels. So, more strict norms means reducing the sulfur and aromatic content in petrol and diesel fuels. Euro 2 norms, for example, stipulates the sulfur to be controlled at 350 parts per million in diesel and 150 parts per million in petrol. Aromatic hydrocarbons are contained at 42% of concerned fuel. The goal, according to the roadmap, is to reduce the sulfur to 50 ppm in petrol and diesel and bring down the level to 35%. Corresponding to fuel, vehicle engines will also need to be upgraded. The Bharat Stage 2, which is equivalent to Euro 2 norms, which is currently in place in Delhi and Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Ahmedabad, Pune, Surat, Kanpur, Agra, will be applicable to all automobiles throughout the country from April 1, 2005. All the automobiles and fuel, petrol and diesel were to have met the Euro 3 norms specification in these 11 cities from April 1, 2005 and have to meet Euro 4 norms by April 1, 2010. The rest of the country will have the Euro 3 norm compliant automobiles and fuels by 2010. Thanks to the efforts made, the air quality of Delhi has significantly improved. According to the estimate, the substantial fall in carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide level has been found in Delhi between 1997 and 2005. Moving on, in India, the Air Prevention and Control Population Act came into force in 1981, but was amended in 1987 to include the noise as an air pollutant. So the Air Prevention and Control Act was enacted in 1981, which was amended in 1987 to include noise also as air pollutant. Noise is undesirable level of sound. So what is noise? Undesirable high level of sound. We have got used to associating loud sounds with pleasure and entertainment, not realizing that noise causes psychological and physiological disorders in humans. In bigger cities, the bigger the function, the greater the noise. A brief exposure to high and extremely high level of sound, 150 decibel or more, generated by a takeoff of a jet plane or rocket, may damage the eardrums, thus permanently impairing the hearing ability. Even chronic exposure to relatively lower noise level of cities may permanently damage the hearing ability of humans. Noise also causes sleeplessness, increased heart beating, altered breathing pattern, and thus considerably stressing humans. Reduction of noise in our industries can affect by use of sound absorbent materials or by muffling noise. Stringent following of laws laid down in relation to noise, like delimitation of horn-free zones around hospitals and schools, permissible sound levels of crackers and of loudspeakers, timing after which the loudspeakers cannot be played, etc., needs to be enforced to protect ourselves from noise pollution. So, the Air Pollution Act was enacted in 1981, which was amended in 1987 to include noise, and we have seen what are the issues in dealing with what are the issues when it comes to noise pollution, and there are some suggestions which include usage of noise absorbent materials or muffling of noise, stringent laws to be laid down, like to have horn-free zones in and around hospital areas, then use of crackers and loudspeakers with permissible sound levels, timing has to be kept for the loudspeakers, and all these will protect us from the noise pollution. Moving on, the air pollution is over. Now we are moving on to the water pollution and its control. Human beings have been abusing the water bodies around the world by using them for disposal of all our waste materials. We tend to believe that water can wash away everything, not taking the cognizant fact that Water bodies are our lifeline as well as the lifeline for other organisms also. Due to such activities of humankind, the ponds, lakes, streams, rivers, estuaries and oceans are becoming polluted in several parts of the world. Realizing the importance of maintaining the cleanliness of water bodies, the Government of India has passed Water Prevention and Control Act of 1974 to safeguard our water resources. So, the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act of 1974 was laid down in 1974 was laid down to protect the water resources of our country. Domestic sewage and industrial effluents. As we work with water in our homes, in cities and towns, we wash everything into drain. Have you ever wondered where the sewage that come out of your house go? What happens in villages? Is the sewage treated before they are transported to the nearest river and mixed with it? A mere 0.1% impurities make domestic sewage unfit for human use. So, a mere 0.1% of the impurity is making the domestic sewage unfit for human use. This is a composition of wastewater which have 99.19% water and only 0.1% is impurities, which include suspended solids like sand, silt and clay, colloidal materials like fecal matter, bacteria, cloth and paper fibers, suspended solids, colloidal materials and dissolved materials like nutrients, nitrate, ammonia, phosphate, sodium and calcium. Moving on. Solids are relatively easy to remove. What is difficult to remove is dissolved salts such as nitrates, phosphates and other nutrients and toxic metal ions and organic compounds. Domestic sewage primarily contains biodegradable organic matter which readily decomposes thanks to the bacteria and microorganisms which can multiply using these organic substances as substrate and hence utilize some of the components of sewage. It is possible to estimate the amount of organic matter in sewage water by measuring biological oxygen demand. FICO shows some of the changes that one may notice following the discharge of sewage into a river. Microorganisms involved in the biodegradation of the organic matter in receiving the water body consume a lot of oxygen. As a result, there is a sharp decline in the dissolved oxygen downstream from the point of sewage discharge. This causes mortality of fishes. So, this is a figure which shows the discharge after discharge of sewage into a river, what will be happening. So, after such a discharge, the microorganisms will act on these biodegradable materials that is present in the sewage, as a result of which a lot of oxygen is consumed. Thus, the dissolved oxygen level in the water body decreases, as a result of which the biological oxygen demand increases. Biological oxygen demand is the amount of oxygen that is used by the microorganism to decompose or to degrade the organic matter. So the biological oxygen demand will increase, the dissolved oxygen will decrease, as a result of which there is less or very less oxygen available for the fishes and other organism, aquatic creature. So there is this causes mortality of fish and other aquatic creatures when there is a discharge of sewage. And after this is a direction of flow, after a certain point, this will come to normal. The biological oxygen demand will decrease. It will go decrease after the organic matter is degraded. As it flow, it will get degraded by the microorganisms and the BOD will get reduced and the dissolved oxygen will gradually increase, bringing it to the normal level. So moving on, presence of large amounts of nutrients in water also causes excessive planktonic algae, that is free floating algae called an algal bloom, which imparts a distinct color to the water bodies. The algal bloom causes deterioration of water quality and fish mortality. Some bloom forming algae are extremely toxic to humans and animals. So this is a pictorial representation of algal bloom. It can be of different colors. We have seen it in different colors. Green is there, blue color is there, and it's seen in various colors. So presence of large nutrients in the water, it causes causes large amount of algal like planktonic algae to grow, and this is known as algal bloom. This also deteriorates the water quality because most cases these algal blooms are toxic to humans as well as animals. Moving on, plants which were introduced into India for their lovely flowers have caused havoc by excessive growth by causing blockage of waterways. They grow faster than our ability to remove them. There are plants of water hyacinth, that is Eichhornia crassipus, the world's most problematic aquatic weed called terror of Bengal. They grow abundantly in eutrophic plant or eutrophic water bodies and lead to an imbalance in the ecosystem dynamics of the water body. So this is a picture of water hyacinth, terror of Bengal, or scientifically known as Eichhornia crassipus. So this was not native to India. It was introduced by the Britishers for their lovely pink violet color flowers, and now it is spreading rapidly in our ecosystem, causing havoc in our ecosystem and blockage in the water bodies. It also causes another problems like it will draw off the nutrients and the oxygen really quickly, thus reducing the dissolved oxygen and disrupting the life of other aquatic organisms. Unlike domestic sewage, wastewater from industries like petroleum, paper manufacturing, metal extraction and processing, chemical manufacturing, etc. often contain toxic substances, notably heavy metals such as mercury, cadmium, copper and lead, etc. And a variety of organic compounds as well. So what are the heavy metals? Heavy metals are defined as the elements with density greater than 5 gram per centimeter cube. So unlike the domestic waste that is discharged into the water bodies, the water waste from the industries like petroleum, paper manufacturing, etc. contains toxic substances like heavy metals. So these also has to be treated before we release these into the water bodies, so that the water quality remains the same. Moving on, a few toxic substances often present in industrial wastewaters can undergo biological magnification or biomagnification in aquatic food chain. Biomagnification refers to an increase in the concentration of toxicant at successive trophic levels. So what is biomagnification? Biomagnification refers to the increase in the concentration of toxic chemicals as we move up the trophic levels. This happens because a toxic substance accumulated by an organism cannot be metabolized or excreted, and thus is passed on to the higher trophic level. This phenomena is well known for mercury and DDT. So this biomagnification happens if we doesn't dispose the industrial waste, harmful substances in the industrial waste properly, and this will lead to an accumulation of waste materials like toxic chemicals in the aquatic food chain, which will increase as we move up the trophic levels. So here is a figure. It shows the biomagnification of DDT and in an aquatic food chain. So there are many examples of biomagnification. So the most common ones, this phenomena is well known for mercury and DDT. The figure shows biomagnification of DDT. By the way, in this manner, the concentration of DDT is increased at successive trophic levels. Say if it starts at 0.03003 parts per billion in water, it can ultimately reach 25 part per million. So from 0.003 part per billion to, and it will get accumulated, and in the highermost trophic levels, it will reach to 25 parts per million in fish eating birds through biomagnification. High concentration of DDT disturb calcium metabolism, in birds, which causes thinning of eggshells. So this lead to premature breaking of their eggs and eventually the decline in the bird population. So this is a diagram which shows the biomagnification of DDT. So in water, only 0.003 pp. So I think it's parts per billion. Okay, in water only 0.003 parts per billion there, and as we move the zooplankton that is the first topic level, which are primary producers. These are producers, and this is primary consumer, secondary consumer, and tertiary consumers. So in the primary, in the producer or autotrophs like zootrophs, the DDT accumulated is 0.04 parts per million. So there is an increase. And moving on to small fishes that eat zooplankton, the amount increased to 0.5 ppm. The DDT concentration is 0.5 ppm. And in large fishes, which are in turn dependent on the small fishes, the concentration increases to 2 ppm, and in fish eating birds it increases to 5 ppm. Eutrophication is the natural aging of a lake by biological enrichment of its water. In a young lake, the water is cold and clear, supporting little life. With time, streams draining into the lake introduces nutrients such as nitrogen and phosphorus, which encourage the growth of aquatic organisms. As the lake's fertility increases, plants and animal life burgeons, and the organic matter begins to be decomposed at the bottom of the lake. Over the centuries, as silt and organic debris pile up, the lake grows shallower and warmer with warm water organisms, supplanting those that thrive in cold environment. Marsh plants take roots in shallows and begin to fill in the original lake basin. Eventually, the lake gives way to large masses of floating plants like bogs, finally converting it into land. Depending on climate, the size of the lake, and the other factors, the natural aging of a lake may span thousands of years. However, the pollutants from man's activities like effluents from the industries and home can radically accelerate the aging process. This phenomena is known as cultural or accelerated eutrophication. So, eutrophication is a natural process which happens for all lakes or water bodies, aquatic water bodies. So but when it is happening in an accelerated rate because of human activities like effluents from the industries and home, that lead to increase in the nutrients and accelerated growth of these plants, and further the decline of the aquatic ecosystem, then it is called cultural or accelerated eutrophication. During the past century, the lakes in many of the earth have been severely eutrophied, eutrophied by the sewage and agriculture and industrial waste. The prime contaminants are nitrates and phosphates. So the prime culprits are nitrates and phosphates, which act as plant nutrients. They overstimulate the growth of algae. The growth of algae is overstimulated, causing unsightly scum and unpleasant odors and robbing the water of its dissolved oxygen vital to other aquatic life. At the same time, other pollutants flowing into the lake may poison the whole population of fish, and whose decomposition remain further deplete the water's dissolved oxygen content. In such fashion, a lake can literally choke to death. Heated or thermal wastewaters flowing out of electricity generating units, example thermal power plants, constitute another important category of pollutants. The thermal wastewater eliminates or reduces number of organisms sensitive to high temperature and may enhance the growth of plants and animals in extremely cold areas, but only after causing damage to the indigenous flora and fauna. So not only the nutrients that are causing problem, the heated or thermal wastewaters that is coming out of electricity generating units are also creating problem, as their natural ecosystem is, or the temperature of the natural ecosystem is varied. The indigenous flora and fauna is replaced by the other flora and fauna which adapt to the present level of temperature in the lake. A case study of integrated wastewater treatment. Wastewater, including sewage, can be treated in an integrated manner by utilizing a mix of artificial and natural process. An example of such an initiative is the town of Arcata, situated along the northern coast of California. Collaborating with biologists from Humboldt State University, the townspeople created an integrated wastewater treatment process within a natural system. The cleaning occurs in two stages: the conventional sedimentation, filtering, chlorine treatment. After this, a lot of dangerous pollutants like dissolved heavy metals still remain. So, to combat this, an innovative approach was taken by the biologists. The biologists developed a series of 6 connected marshes over 60 hectares of marshland. Appropriate plant, algae, fungi, and bacteria were seeded into this area, which neutralize, absorb, and assimilate the pollutants. Hence, the wastewater flows through the marshes and get purified naturally. The marshes also constitute a sanctuary with a high level of biodiversity in the form of fishes, animals, and birds that now reside there. A citizen group called Friends of Akata Marsh are responsible for the upkeep and safeguarding of this wonderful project. All this time, we have assumed that removal of wastewater requires water, like that is the creation of sewage. But what if water is not necessary to dispose even human waste like excreta? Ecological sanitation is a sustainable system of handling human excreta using dry composting toilets. This is a practical, hygienic, efficient, and cost-effective solution to human waste disposal. The key point to note here is that in this composting method, human excreta can be recycled into a resource as a natural fertilizer, which reduces the need for chemical fertilizers. There are working eco-sand toilets in many areas of Kerala and Sri Lanka. So this is all about today's discussion. The rest of the chapter will be discussed in part 2. Thank you for watching. For more related contents, do like, share and subscribe.